Hey guys, my name is Anthony, and in today's video I'm going to be bringing you something brand new that I think is going to be a lot more useful than a certain video series that I currently do. So you guys know that I currently do a series of videos called Hotlap Analysis, where I take a look at some of you guys' hotlaps and I basically just see where you guys can improve and where I can personally improve as well. Well, I think I've come up with something that's going to be a little bit more useful for you guys, especially since league racing season has started. So I'm going to be replacing the Hotlap Analysis videos with race stint analysis. Now what that's going to consist of is I will be talking about the strategies used for the race depending on your qualifying position. I'll also be talking about breakpoints, so I'll just give an overview of a general lap within a race stint, just so I can show you guys how to drive around the track if you don't know how to drive around the track. Then I'll also be talking about what I personally think that somebody was thinking about during certain situations within a race stint. And then lastly, we'll be talking about where I personally think they could improve within a race stint so that they could even get quicker. And the last thing that I've sort of wanted to mention is there will be no submissions for this series. I will be personally choosing who I do the analysis videos on. So if you want to see more videos like this, if you learn something from it and find it useful, make sure to hit the like button and stick around by subscribing to the channel. So let's get into today's episode, which is actually going to be on myself. So for the first section, we're going to talk about race strategies. Now this section is usually going to be the shortest part of the video because I'm just going to be talking about the race strategies that you should probably be using based on a certain track, based on where you qualify. So first, we're going to be talking about China, since this is the race that we're covering. So for the top 10 positions, you're most likely going to be on softs. If you do think that you're quick enough to get into the top 10 on the medium tires, I highly advocate that you do that, especially around China where the tire wear is a lot higher than usual. If you can get into the top 10 on mediums, definitely go for it. It's going to be a huge advantage for you. However, most likely you're going to be on the softs. So you're going to want to pit, I believe, around about lap 4. For the hard tires, and then you're going to want to do a one stop. So you're going to be on the hard tires in a 50% race for about 24 laps, which is quite a long time, but the hard tires can manage it, I believe. Moving on to 11th to 14th, obviously you guys know that everybody outside of the top 10 gets a free choice of tire. So if you're in position 11 to 14, I'd highly recommend that you start on the medium tires and pit around about lap 12 for the hard tires. And then if you're anywhere from 15th to 20th, I recommend starting on the hard tires and pitting lap 17 for the medium tires. Now in today's video, I think I qualified in 18th place, practically last place, so I started on the hard tires and pitted on lap 17 for the medium tires. So as we move on to lap 8 now, I was one of the hard tire runners from the beginning, and I was now within the traffic of the top 10 people. As you can see, Amazed is behind me and he's currently the race leader, and I had just lost the position to Adam Dude and had him behind me. So I wasn't going to make it too easy to let them pass, but I knew that I would have to let Amazed through and Presto through at some point because I was just not battling for that position, and I didn't want to lose time battling for a position I knew I wasn't going to keep. So right now my goal at this point was to stick with Adam Dude as closely as I could so that I could stay within the DRS range and basically have him drag me along, because as you can see, he's the quicker man right now because he's on the medium tires. He's got that extra traction compared to me on the hard tires. So if I could keep up with Adam Dude and stay within his DRS and basically just have him drag me along the track, then that would give me a huge advantage, because then it would increase my overall pace as well, which would keep me within the running of the position that I was actually battling for, which I believe at this time I was in a net P11 or somewhere around there. So as you can see, as we come up to the long kilometer straight now, I did manage to stay within the 1 second time gap for the DRS. So at this point, I literally just wanted to concentrate, stick with Adam Dude, and just try and make sure that I stay within his DRS so that he can continue to drag me along. Because as I said, I was going to let the two leaders pass at some point, but I didn't want to make it as easy as possible for them, just out of competition really. But at the same time, I knew I wasn't really battling for those positions. So moving on to lap 9, my pace on the hard tires was consistent and pretty good in my opinion. My goal was to be within the 35s on the hard tires and make sure that I continued getting 1 minute 35s, which I was consistently doing. So at that time, I was pretty happy with how I was performing. The pace was pretty good based on my practice that I did before the race. But coming up to turn 6 now, we brake at the 100-meter board, so we brake at the right time. However, coming off of the exit, I just didn't get the exit that I wanted to. We kind of bottled the exit, and because of that, I lost quite a bit of time. And at that point, I knew it was time to just let Amazed pass. So as you can see, I let him on the inside there, but I didn't let Presto through because he was about 1 second behind, and I didn't really want to slow down too much just to let him pass. So we just stuck behind Amazed, and I pretty much wanted to do the exact same thing with Amazed that I did with Adam, and just try and stick within his DRS so that he could basically drag me along, because we're on the same tires, except his hard tires are a little bit more fresher than mine, and as you can see, his pace on the hard tires is just generally a lot better than mine. So if I could stick with him, then it would have allowed me to again increase my overall pace because I was sticking with them. But as you can see, we're already outside of the DRS zone, so those guys were quick, and as you can see, the Red Bulls there, they're just swapping positions because as teammates, obviously Amazed was the race leader and Adam didn't really want to hold him up. So now moving on to the end of lap 16, lap 17. At this point, I already was within my pit window, but I wanted to stretch the hards as long as I could. However, after I saw Raikkonen in front of me pit, I decided to respond to that by pitting the very next lap, because I think he was in the net position in front of me at the time, so I didn't want to lose too much time going to him. So we're going to take a quick overview of this lap of me going into the pit. So turn 1, you want to brake just as you're coming in towards the corner there. You want to stick a little bit wider than I was, and you don't want to go into first gear. The reason why I was going into first gear is because I only had 2 wings and I felt a lot of understeer going into those corners, so that's why I went into first gear. But usually you want to stay in second gear, and coming up to turn 6, right at the 100-meter board, brake down into first gear. Make sure to stick a little bit closer to the curb there than I did, and then coming off of that exit into this long left-hander. I was on 17 lap old tires, so I did lift off in 6th gear, but I did short shift up to 7th gear and basically plant my foot back onto the throttle. 4th gear into that long right-hander, just stick to it as closely as you can, and then coming off of this corner now, you want to use as much track as you possibly can, and then this corner in 7th gear, brake down into 3rd or 2nd gear from the 100-meter board. And then for this long corner here, you want to try and short shift as much as you can just to minimize wheel spin, because if you get wheel spin around here, you're most likely going to spin and you will lose quite a lot of time going down this 1 kilometer straight, which is obviously one of the longest straights on the track, so you don't want to be losing time here. And as you can see, we're going green in sector 1 and sector 2, but I knew I was going to pit, braking at the Rolex sign above the 100-meter board. And then when you're going into the pits, you want to brake at the black box, which you're about to see now. And then usually you would brake at the beginning of the fence there, which I'll show you guys with the red arrow that I like to use whilst I'm editing the video. So when it comes to improvements, this was actually one of my better race stints, especially on the hard tires. I didn't even get a single warning during this race, let alone a penalty, so in that regards I did pretty well. But in terms of actual improvements, I probably could have tried to get on the throttle a lot quicker than I did, which would have allowed me to be just generally quicker around the track as well, which means I probably could have kept up with some of the people that I was trying to keep up with to stay within the DRS. But other than that, honestly, this was a pretty good stint, and next time that I take a look at one of my stints, it will probably be a worse stint, because again, usually you can always improve a lot more by looking at your bad races versus looking at some of your better races. So that's going to be it for today's race stint analysis on myself. So if you want to see more videos like this, please let me know in the comment section what you thought of this video, and if you want to see more. As I said, this is not going to be something that I only do on myself. Most episodes might be on myself, but I will be taking race stints from other people who are quicker than me, people who are slower than me, and really just trying to dissect the race stints so that you guys can really improve your racecraft this season. And it's also for me as well, because I really want to improve my racecraft this season as well. So make sure to hit the like button and stick around by subscribing to the channel if you want to see more race stint analysis videos, and I'll see you guys in my next video.